Hello, I'm not sure why you clicked on this video, but I just wanted you to know that if this is the first video that you're watching from my channel, please go over and watch my other videos that I share about Argentina because I absolutely love Argentina. It's a fabulous country, but obviously no country is perfect and I have to share the things that I don't like about the country. Now, I'm a Jamaican living here. I've been here for 10 years, so I think I have more than enough credibility to talk about these topics. And obviously, some of them are just, from based on personal preference. It's not like I'm saying that they should completely change their country to satisfy me or fulfill my desires. I'm just saying that, these are the things that I just don't like. All right, the first one is that I don't really like doing any form of processing in Argentina because for some reason it takes a long time. In Jamaica too, it takes a long time, but in Argentina, it's a little bit more complicated than that. It takes a long time. You'll see them there. They'll be on their phone, drinking their mate, talking to each other. And then when they're just about to close, that's when they just, start speeding up the process. Or they'll tell you, oh, the system is not working. And it's a lie because it's just that they don't want to work. Sometimes it's not working, but other times it's like when you don't feel like working, they'll tell you that it's not working. Or you'll go today and they tell you a specific way of doing it. You go next week and it's a completely different process. So it gets annoying. You have to be up and down, wasting your time, and it doesn't seem like you're getting anywhere. Or sometimes they even change the location of where you can get a specific task done without even putting up like a formal, advertisement or advisory. All right, so here one of the things is like I don't think they're really like super big on like working and working hard. I don't think I've ever heard an Argentine say that they're working overtime. I don't think that exists here because they're just gonna do what they have to do or the bare minimum and go. Obviously, not everyone. You have some people who are super hard working, but I believe that they don't really have a very strong working culture. They like their holidays, they like taking their trips, they like sitting in the park and drinking their mate, and they like relaxing and chilling. Sometimes you'll find that a lot of the government places open from 8 to 1. Like in Jamaica, government places are they open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So anything that you need to get done in Argentina, try to do it in the morning because there's a possibility that the place will not be open in the afternoon. And also the government has this thing where a lot of social plans where they give money out to people who are like in really poor communities, and people take that to mean that they shouldn't work. So the government pretty much takes care of them. And when the government decides that they're not gonna give them a particular thing a particular month, they go on the street and they block the road because they want more to do nothing pretty much. All right, another thing that you should know if you're planning to come to Argentina is that it's a very closed country. Their borders are pretty close. It's hard to get anything into this country. They control it a lot. Sometimes you may get lucky and whatever you order, you might receive it. Other times they give you a whole headache until it eventually gets sent back to where it's coming from. Or sometimes they charge you so much that it doesn't even make sense for you to receive it. So sometimes people just get discouraged and they're like, okay, I'm not even gonna order anything. Like for me, I don't play with them. If someone is not sending me something in a box, if a family member sends you something, then there's a possibility that it's a little bit better. And it depends on what it is too. They'll open it, dig it up, and they'll say, oh no, this, that, next time, don't do this, don't do that. If it's food stuff, they're a lot more careful. But if it's like clothes, you have to mix it up. I don't know. It just depends on how the custom officer is feeling that day. So I just don't like that. I understand that maybe they do it to protect the country because I know that if a lot of international brands come in, then people may not want the local brands and then their industry may suffer. But at the same time, I think that there should be some amount of should be open at least to a certain extent. And yeah, and that too affects how you eat. Like it's hard to find certain international products or ingredients here. You can find some, but it'll be super expensive, and you just have to look around, search around. It's like just a constant process. Even their supermarkets too will just have the same thing, the same brands, like not a lot of variety. You just have to kind of like, get used to it, I guess. The other thing I don't like about Argentina is that they leave their dog mess on the road. So in the big cities, most people live in apartments, so they'll take their dogs for a walk so that they can, release themselves. But they're supposed to pick it up, and sometimes if you look out, you'll see people putting up flyers and stuff or posters reminding people to pick up their dog mess because they just leave it there, sorry, and sometimes you're walking and you're just stepping in it. I think my eyes have been programmed to like kind of like avoid them in a certain way, but at the same time it's like you still see it and it's still kind of annoying or disgusting. So but I don't know, I think I've kind of gotten used to it. It doesn't affect me much as it used to. And the worst part is when it rains and I don't want to get too much into that, but it's kind of annoying. Another thing is just how unstable their economy is. And of course, we know that the world is going through a crisis. Jamaica's economy is not nowhere, I guess maybe they say it's growing, whatever, but it's not anywhere near perfect or going good. But I think there's some amount of stability here in Argentina that they just move from crisis to crisis, as they, in their own words, they say it. So every 10 or so years, it's like something big happens and your prices just keep on going. Dollar gets away. When I came here, the dollar, I think the official dollar was, I think, 4 pesos. And supermarket, I could spend 300 pesos and buy food for a month. Like flour would be like 8 pesos or something like that. Now, if I should go to the supermarket for a month, I probably have to spend like 20,000 pesos. It's like a big difference in 10 years. So, and I realize it that it's true. It's the truth that they say that every 10 or so years they go through something. So hopefully this was a thing that we're going through, and then in the future it will start to get better. But yeah, they're just constantly going from crisis. It's not like they can say, okay, we're gonna have 50 years of, constant improvement. And it's like up and down, up and down. So it's like they never really get to a point where they see any real growth. And also the fact that when a different government comes into power is that they do, if it's like from a different political party, is that they do the complete opposite of the party that was there before. So it's like the country is like a completely different country when the other one comes into power. So that's also pretty interesting. Another thing that I don't like is that there's a lot of social inequality. So you will have one set of people that live like super well, whether it's crisis or not, they can still live well because they know how to manage it, and some things will always be in their favor. And then you have other persons who like live on the very extreme, who are like super poor, like super going through it. And we know that we have those inequalities in every country, but in Argentina, I think it's like kind of to a next level. So Jamaica is like considered a poor country, very simple country, whatever. But you'll never really see anyone searching through the trash can in the city to get stuff. Like there's like a big dump area that people would go and search through things, but it's because they throw away like really good things there. But people are actually looking through trash here. And it always just hurts me, like, oh my gosh, like why is it that we have to get to that point, like. And I do understand the government gives social plan. I'm not sure if it is that they are not able to access a social plan or it's not enough. So I think in that area, like some amount of revamping needs to be done. Another thing I don't like is just that everybody just seems to smoke. And that was a shocker for me because it's like, you don't expect like women in Jamaica, like a lot of women don't smoke, professionals don't really smoke, and school children don't smoke. Like they probably do it, but you're not supposed to be seen doing it in your uniform. Here, kids would be just out about smoking and it's not a big deal. Obviously, that's their preference, but I'm just saying when they're smoking and they're just puffing it out into your face. And I'm like, sir or ma'am, I don't smoke, so I don't know why you're just pushing it all in my face like that. That's secondhand smoking, and that's dangerous to me too. I don't smoke for a reason, but no, you're putting me at risk. So I think they should be more. I would want them to be more aware of their surroundings and more conscious, and not just be blowing smoke in people's faces. Well, I touched on this before, but it's just the fact that there's not like a variety of food. You go to the supermarket and you're gonna see things to make pasta, raviolis, pizza, empanadas, So it's just like just a lot of carbohydrates and not a lot of other things to really, you know, have a meal that's kind of different. It's kind of like the same thing over and over. And I think they kind of eat the same thing and it's okay for them and that's fine. And they're going to sell the things that they eat. Sorry. But just as a foreigner or someone who's coming from the Caribbean and they have so much variety of so many things that it's hard for me to get adjusted. And I think it has affected me to the point where sometimes I'm like, I don't even eat because I'm like, what am I going to eat? Like the same thing over and over is like, and I'm tired. I don't want the carbohydrates because it doesn't do me well, but I don't have much of an option. And if I'm to order food, it's kind of like the same thing. So kind of gets, annoying sometimes. And I'm just like, I just want something different to eat. Por favor. Another struggle for me is that I think that, or thing that I don't really like is that I think they're kind of like closed off mentally. And not to say that people all over the rest of the world are like super open, but they're more aware that there's a world outside of their country. But I find that like Argentines, they tend to be very closed off mentally or socially, like it's their way or no way. And if you try to bring a point across that's different from the way they think, it's like, no, no, you're wrong. It's not that way. And they just like insult you and stuff like that. Especially on the internet. Not so much in person, but on the internet. And I'm like, most of you, a lot of you have probably never left Argentina, probably have never left your province. You live in a barrio, or you just watch certain things about Argentina on the TV, and it's like Argentina is not the world. There's like a big world out there. People live differently. People do things differently. Like, and it shows in like some of the questions that they ask. Like I'm like, as an intelligent person, and it's not coming from like the common person, from someone who's supposedly educated, and I'm like, as a person who has studied and is serving in a certain capacity, would not expect you to ask questions like that or to make such assumptions because it doesn't look good. And yeah, once if you speak against certain things that they're ready to attack you, I'm like, no, like that's not how things go. That's not how it works. Be open-minded. Be willing to hear other people's opinions. Like, all right, siesta. Just siesta. If you don't know what siesta is, it's like they close off stores from a certain time until a certain time, maybe between 12 and 1 to about 4 or 5. And I always find it annoying because I'm like, this is the time that I want to prepare something to eat. Like, why are the stores closed? Like, this is not normal. But with time, I've actually gotten, used to it, and I've tried to prepare myself as best as possible so that I don't need anything during that time. And I realized too that it depends on where you are. If you're like in the central area of the city, they don't really close off because, that's like a busy area. But you will see the difference, like in the streets, you'll find that there are a lot less people walking on the streets during that time, or the supermarkets will be empty during that time. Like, that's the best time for you to go anywhere because it's not full. But if you're in certain areas, it will be closed off and you just have to wait or do without. All right, what I find is that where I'm at, actually, the city that I live in, I'm not sure, maybe in Buenos Aires where they're used to having more visitors, they're like a lot more open. But it's just that I don't feel like they're very open to, or like they kind of like sometimes like not make fun of the way you speak, but they don't really make the efforts to understand what you're saying. And I'm like, okay, I'm over here trying. I may not say it perfectly, but I'm saying something that's similar. I think you could actually try and listen to what I'm saying and actually try to understand. But that's just how it goes. But I must say that people have commented and say that I speak well both on the internet and in person, but sometimes you go to a shop and you're trying to order something and they look at you like, and when they give you that look, it's like you kind of like feel small, like, oh my gosh, I'm not saying it right. And they're like, what are you saying? I don't understand. And I'm like, I may not pronounce it perfectly, but come on, how is it that you don't understand what I'm saying? Like, train your ears. Because when I went to Brazil, I speak a lot less Brazilian. Sorry, I almost don't speak Portuguese. I mean, it's Portuguese. I'm saying Brazilian. I almost don't speak Portuguese. But I mixed Portuguese with Spanish when I went there, and they understood everything I was saying. Like, no one looked at me like that, and they didn't even be like, they didn't ask me to repeat myself all the time. So I just think it's a matter of just them not wanting to because like, oh, why aren't you speaking perfectly? I'm like, at least I'm trying. How many languages do you speak? Okay, so this is the last point, and I'm not sure how true it is in terms of how real it is in other parts of Argentina. And I've heard other persons said it too, so I know I'm not crazy. Like sometimes you'll probably live with the person for a year, and then you see them another time, you're greeting them, and they're looking like you, like, or they'll just walk past you like, I don't know you. I've never seen you before. Who are you? Why are you saying hi to me? Or they'll greet you today, hi, how are you? And then tomorrow they'll just barely greet you or just walk past you. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, is this normal for you guys? Because for me, it's not normal. If I know you, I know you, and I'm going to continue to say hi to you as long as I see you and I've known you at some point in my life and I remember who you are. And it's not like they forget because you've spent a significant amount of time together for them to know who you are. So why are you passing me like you don't know me, bro? All right, so this is where I end the video. I know that some persons will be offended, but I didn't say anything bad. I just expressed myself, and it's fine to do that as long as you're being respectful. So let me know what are some of the things that you don't like about Argentina. If you're from another country, living in Argentina, spending time in Argentina, or if you're an Argentine who speaks English, if you're in agreement, just let me know too. All right, guys, bye bye.